Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I've got a good video here lined up. It's from Jago Hazard, and we get to mix a little bit of history and the underground together, like very different things. So this one is titled Plague Pits on the Underground, and it has to do, I think, with the plague. So this is kind of interesting. It's not something I know about. Maybe it's I don't know. I don't know, but I'm excited to find out. But I will link this particular video in the description along with links to Patreon, how you can support the channel here on YouTube. If you want to go check out my sports channel, that link's going to be in the description. But let's just jump right in.
Something I've been asked about a few times is whether it's true that there are underground tunnels that cut through plague pits. It's an interesting question, and one that, to be quite honest with you,
Is a plague pit where just like a mass grave? Is that what I mean? Because I know there were so many people dying, and at that time, um, they just kind of threw bodies in, didn't they? I'm assuming that's what it is. Let me know if
didn't
I'm
know
wrong.
the answer to. I'd heard rumours. One said it was the Piccadilly line. Another said it was the Victoria line. Some of them incorporated gruesome details like unwitting construction workers being showered with bits of corpses or even encountering ghosts. Several of them were mentioned by respected authors, so let's investigate.
Really?
In the 14th century, Europe and Asia experienced a pandemic that would eventually become known as bubonic plague, or colloquially, the Black Death. It was caused by the Yersinia pestis bacterium and spread by flea bites.
Mm.
Symptoms included fever, vomiting, nausea, and joint pain, but the most obvious tokens were huge, hard swellings known as buboes in the armpit, groin, or neck.
Oh,
The
that'd
end
be
result in the
awful.
vast majority of cases was death within a week. Originating in Asia, the disease spread along trade routes, arriving in London in autumn 1348. The disease couldn't have asked for a better breeding ground than the crowded, filthy city. With an 80% mortality rate and the people having no real understanding of how it spread, the plague wreaked terrible destruction on London. Some estimates place the death toll as high as 60 or even 80%, although records of the era make it difficult to be precise. So rapid was the pestilence that digging individual graves was no longer practical, and so developed the plague pits, mass graves where bodies would be dumped with little ceremony.
Gotcha.
The possibility of being buried without the usual religious offices must have been almost as frightening to the God-fearing people of the medieval world as the plague itself. Fortunately, though it couldn't have seemed so at the time, the plague killed so quickly that it effectively burnt itself out, but it would return several more times, inspiring terror whenever it did so. The last major outbreak in London was in 1665. Plague pits were initially dug in church grounds, but these were soon overwhelmed. New pits were dug on what were then the edges of the city, accepting the dead from
That was a church ground? That's wild. With the skulls on the thing. I mean, it's pretty cool, but wild to see. So is this in like I'm assuming that's like in London? Have you guys seen that or gone past it or visited it?
several
Is that your
parishes.
church?
Often the exact locations of these pits are unknown. What we do know is that they were large. For instance, several streets in Soho lie on top of one, including Carnaby Street. So what's clear
Wow.
is that the idea of an underground tunnel encountering a plague pit by accident is certainly not implausible. But did it ever happen? It was time to do some digging. Metaphorically speaking, I mean. First of all, Aldgate. There is evidence that there was a very substantial pit from the 1665 outbreak here, as mentioned by Daniel Defoe in his Journal of the Plague Year.
Off topic. I love this green subway tile. That's so pretty. Hey guys, before we get back to the video, I just wanted to ask a quick favor from you guys. According to YouTube, only 86% of viewers are actually subscribed to the channel. So if you're enjoying the content, please consider hitting the subscribe button because it helps the channel more than you think it might. And if you'd like to go a step further, there's a QR code here if you want to buy me a coffee. Everything that comes from that helps continue making these videos, as well as making British recipes and buying British food for reaction videos. But even if you can't do that, even just liking, sharing, subscribing, commenting, I appreciate every bit of support. Now let's get back to it.
Defoe describes it as 40 feet wide, 15 feet long, and 20 feet deep, supposedly attached to St. Botolph's Church. According to more recent legend, the station was actually built within the pit itself. So it's strange that nobody mentions it in any official records. Then there's Green Park. This is a specific location I've heard mentioned, with either the Jubilee or Victoria line encountering a pit. One story states that they incurred the wrath of an unquiet spirit, a giant with outstretched arms dubbed the Queer Man. It is true that Green Park was used as a burial ground before it was a park, but for lepers rather than plague victims. But there's no contemporary record of construction workers encountering them either. What about Knightsbridge? It's
That's a
said that
pretty
the Piccadilly
building.
line takes a detour to avoid a pit here, but again there's no evidence of such a pit. If I might advance a personal theory, this may have been influenced by the TV serial Quatermass and the Pit, in which construction workers in the Kensington area uncover ancient alien remains. The film adaptation goes further, having the construction work in question be on an underground line. There may be sort of a pit here, although it's not technically on the underground. This is the London Road depot of the Bakerloo line, and rumour has it that one of the sidings stops just short of a pit. The siding is apparently intended to stop runaway trains, and if the legend is true, I would imagine that in the event of an accident it would be mighty difficult to figure out exactly how many bodies were in the wreckage. Sick jokes aside, there is again a shortage of corroborative evidence here. One point I would reiterate is that plague victims were often buried in existing burial grounds. The Underground encountered those quite frequently. The District Railway seems to have run into them fairly routinely, encountering them near Westminster Abbey and Cannon Street. Bodies thus encountered were often sent out to Brookwood Necropolis for reinterment, ironically by train from the Brookwood Necropolis railway station in Waterloo. This is a fascinating station in itself, but alas too fascinating to go into detail on this already longer than usual video. The Jubilee line extension, running through Southwark, more recently passed beneath the Crossbones graveyard, necessitating an archaeological survey. I'm planning a fuller video on this in the future, but I just thought I'd mention it now while I'm here. Well, so far this has been a bit disappointing, hasn't it? Not one confirmed plague pit. Oh, but there's an interesting twist in the tale, and it links back to Aldgate. You see, the first version I'd heard of that tale said that the station built in a plague pit was at Barbican, and it was while looking into this that I unearthed a real bona fide, honest-to-God story of an underground railway tunnel in London encountering a plague pit. Two, in fact. The tunnel
I wonder how, I guess how they would know that it was a plague pit and not some other mass grave, because it seems like they did it with lepers. I'm sure there were other instances of this too, where it's been an area that's been occupied for so long. Huh. I guess just Gotta rely on records.
In question is Crossrail, or the Elizabeth line if we're being official about it. Now I should say here that these days encountering a burial ground is rarely accidental. When a railway is planned, potential obstacles are mapped out as far as possible. Therefore, it was expected that when Crossrail got to Liverpool Street, it would run into the old burial ground attached to Bedlam Hospital. What they actually
Oh.
found, though, was a mass grave of 30 people. At the head of the grave was a headstone marked 1665. The obvious conclusion was that this was indeed the final resting place of victims of the Great Plague. DNA testing confirmed this to be the case. It was also no surprise when they encountered an earlier medieval pit at Charterhouse Square. This one dated back to the Black Death. Local law said there were as many as 50,000 people buried here. More sensible estimates said it was more like 5,000, but that's still more skeletons than you usually want to run into.
Wow.
But for the Museum of London's archaeologists, this was a golden opportunity. You see, I said near the beginning of this video that the bacterium that caused the Black Death was Yersinia pestis, but until recently we didn't know that. Not for certain. The evidence pointed very heavily towards bubonic plague, but some historians had their doubts. Now, the opportunity was there to find out for sure. Remains were again sent for genetic testing, and the results came back positive for Yersinia pestis, finally confirming the theory once and for all. So in conclusion, no, there is no evidence that the London Underground definitely encountered plague pits. But Crossrail certainly did. Good
Well,
evening. I hope you...
that was good. I enjoyed that a lot because I like kind of blending other bits of history in with this, and he always does such an incredible job. I know a lot of y'all are fans of his. Samesies. But that was really good. That was interesting. I like how, they were like, "Hey, we're going to do this. We know we're going to run into it. Let's confirm some science, guys. I like it. I like it." Um that is just wild though to think of. Kind of because having just a couple years ago going through COVID and seeing how many people, I mean, indiscriminately. It didn't matter if you were a healthy athlete, like you're susceptible to long COVID, to dying, to an elderly person could get it and not even know they had it. It's one of those crazy things. And there were so many people dying. I mean, even here there were horror stories of like bodies piling up and just people not taking just doing what they were supposed to be doing and lying to people about it. Trying to remember, I want to say it was in New York. They had like bodies that were just in piles that I mean, can you imagine the family members? I don't know what happened with all that stuff. I need to go back and research it. Um, but yeah, that's crazy. So all of it's crazy to think about. But I do enjoy the history aspect. I like the science that they did, to the testing. They confirmed exactly what I guess caused it. But yeah, I enjoyed that a lot. I hope you guys did as well. If you did, hit the like button, share, subscribe, hype. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Let me know if you've heard those rumors before. Especially, I know some of y'all that watch have worked for the underground. So if you know anything behind the scenes, let me know in the comments. And I will catch you guys tomorrow with another video. Thanks for watching, guys.